Horikoshi, please, I'm begging you, dog. Stop catching me emotionally lacking at 5 o'clock in the morning. Before I open this review of chapter 325 of My Hero Academia, please do me a favor and leave your own thoughts on the chapter in the comment section down below. Leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, make sure you hit that little notification bell so you don't miss out on any videos that come to the channel. What's up, guys? I got a pencil here, and here we are to chapter 325 of My Hero Academia, which is known as Connected to One for All. And Horikoshi, you got me this time. All right. I need to like wait longer to read these chapters till I'm like fully conscious, so I don't instantly have a whole mental breakdown whenever I read your chapters, bro. Because it's not. You don't do it to me like that. Don't do me like that. However, regardless of that, we're gonna hop right into the review, and we open up with our boy Ida stopping that young boy Midoriya. Not young boy. Yo, what the heck? It's Ida stopping that young boy Mineta from rushing in to get to that young boy Midoriya. And trust me, Mineta, like, I know a lot of people hate his character. I get that, and I know why. I completely understand why. But if that dude was handsome, y'all wouldn't hate it. But regardless of that, in reality, I think he's still one of the best characters in 1A. Like, I remember when I made that Class 1A tier list, which has changed, admittedly. It's changed from now on from that point, I'll admit. So I probably will need to redo that video in the future once the series is over. But still, Mineta still is a top character for me for what he's done. And man, for a character who I forgot had any connection with Midoriya at all, he's one of the most like forward about his feelings and care for Midoriya right now. So I definitely respect that. But I also respect Ida even more for having like the wherewithal and the knowledge to be like, wait, hold on. This isn't our place right now. We'll go to him later. We already helped him. Now we need the people he's helped to come and help him, because I'm not sure if Ida saw Kota running up, but regardless of that, it's so nice that he was the one to hold Mineta back and be like, don't worry, this isn't our place. Let him do him. And I like how he looks to Uraraka to see, I laugh because I realize why he's squinting so hard. He doesn't have his glasses on right now, so he's looking at Uraraka mad, like, as a person who also needs glasses. I completely understand the look he's giving Uraraka right now. Like, it's not an annoyed look, it's a, oh god, I can't see you because you're too blurry right now. So it's kind of funny. But regardless of that, we get to see Kota run up. And, bro, seeing him call him Big Bro Midoriya, like, bro, then I tell you, like, there's something that hit different about this moment in particular. Like, seeing Kota, the original person who Midoriya saved, like the original civilian that Midoriya actively saved, come out like this and like apologize and scream that he was so sorry, that he was so scared that he couldn't move, and he heard Uraraka, and Uraraka is what spurred him to come forth. And bro, this panel, like, my tears are watering right now as I'm looking at it again, bro. I literally can't look at it directly, bro. Kota declaring that he is here, so please don't cry anymore. Everything is okay, based on what Midoriya said for him, bro. Yo, and y'all know I hate the muscular fight, how it concluded. But regardless of that, I can't deny like the emotional weight behind that fight for Kota, bro. Like, yeah, I'll admit I cried again. And like, yo, I don't know what Horikoshi's been getting me, bro. Like these 5 o'clock wake up and reads, bro. Like I can't help it. I cannot fight the urge to just break down. Well, to be fair, I didn't break down in tears, but a couple tears left my eyes, bro. Just because this man, like the smile through the snot and tears, bro. Like, it's disgusting, but it's still so emotionally resonant that I can't deny it. And you know me at this point. I stonewall my emotions a lot, but whenever a series manages to break through, like My Hero Academia did, I'm impressed, and I like it a lot. And I don't know, like, I'm not saying she ruins the moment, but like, because she does good too. Like, I'm not sure who this lady is. She still hasn't gotten a name yet. I don't know why she hasn't like introduced herself already. Maybe she did introduce herself all those chapters ago. I just don't remember her name. But I feel like Midoriya doesn't even know her name. He just calls her Miss. But I find it hilarious how she legitimately lifts him up off the ground. Like, I know she's huge relative to him, but at the same time, just seeing Midoriya really get picked up like a whole child. Well, he is a whole child, but still, seeing him get picked up like that while knowing this is probably like top 2 strongest characters in the verse, or top 3 strongest characters in the verse right now, it's hilarious to me. I don't know why. That sent me early on in the morning. Like, I went from wiping a tear to instantly laughing. So I'm not gonna lie, that was good work, Horikoshi. Then we get to see that, once again, a little bit more quirk racism in the My Hero Academia world, because other shelters wouldn't accept mutants. And I see, like, I can't even justify that. It'd be one thing if, like, someone was inherently born gigantic and they couldn't fit inside a shelter, but this lady's just, like, 8 feet tall. Like, she could crouch. I guess they just assume, like, This situation has obviously brought the worst out in people, and of course people fear what is different from them. So I'm not shocked that mutants in this very realistic world were excluded from a lot of shelters. So it does make sense that that would happen. And once again, Horikoshi, he really, like, for a man who I have many problems with his writing style, once again, that society, that like realistic world, that realistic portrayal of the human condition is something that Horikoshi nails pretty much every time without fail whenever he's making his society, and I respect that a lot, considering how difficult that is to do. And I'm so glad that Midoriya got to see two people like he saved, and these two people are like completely differently related, but both connect to him in a way. And I love how Kota is the original boy he saved by sacrificing himself in a physical way, which is one side of his like do it all, save them all yourself mindset. And then you have this lady that he also saved when he was in the midst of sacrificing himself, just in terms of his own self-care, in another way that still shows the destructive nature of Midoriya, the self-destructive nature of Midoriya, but in a good light. Like, after the self-destructive nature of Midoriya was like put down for a long time, I can see Horikoshi still wants to push that forward because it still is a massive part of Midoriya's character. And I think still Midoriya isn't necessarily going to change too much, though the acceptance of the help of others is a change that I'm happy that he's having right now. And the thing is, though, I'm not gonna lie, I wish Uraraka was the final push. Nah, like, if Uraraka had been the final push for everyone to change their minds and not this random dude, like, I know the significance of this guy. He is the guy from the first chapter that Midoriya met and talked with all that time ago, and I get that. However, the fact that it's him that changes everyone's minds kind of devalues what Uraraka did last chapter. And to be fair, at least in my mind, Uraraka, like, she did her part, and I know it's just a whole domino effect system, because it's the same thing that happened with Mina in the war arc and Kirishima stealing the drugging at the that sounds bad. Can I say that? Stealing the drugging at the end? But drugging the Gigantomachia, Mina was really just like the passing torch that passed it to Kirishima, who did the final push, just like Uraraka was just the passing torch that pushed it to this random dude who doesn't have a name still, that's doing the final push. And I don't know, no, to be fair, I didn't like either scenario because it just devalued the work that the females did, and I don't enjoy that in My Hero Academia, despite it happening a lot. Like, you can consistently see a pattern of that throughout the entire series, and I think it's purposeful at this point. Like, Horikoshi knows what he's doing, and I don't like that, but whatever. I'm glad that the civilians are, like, sort of waking up, and, like, not sort of, they've definitely woken up, because the guy with the stars on his head goes on to fully explain, like, yo, it's not like Homeboy's gonna be here for 15 years, dog. Like, he's just gonna be here until he can recover, so he can defend us, so he can still be a hero. Come on now, let him rest. And the thing is, we still get some, like, people who are like, hey, yo, I kind of still don't want him here. Why can't he go rescue Shiketsu when they're just as well equipped? And then a lady is like, yo, well, that's just us pushing the problem to someone else. But to be fair, that's not an invalid point. I know the narrative reason why he has to stay here, because UA is his hero academy, not Shiketsu. But at the same time, I'd push him somewhere else if he was just as well guarded. But regardless, that's just me being like a selfish person who doesn't want any danger brought to myself. I'll be completely real. I am fragile. I do not want to get hurt. So I would definitely push Midoriya out if there was some other safe place to put him. However, regardless of that, we get to see this really interesting comparison to civilians being the audience while the heroes were performing on the stage. And the ultimate actor, All Might, was the person who had them so believing in this play that they never considered any of the other actors or the people behind the characters the actors were playing. And I think that's really, really... sorry. I saw this weird panel, like this weird, like, bottom view shot that Horikoshi draws of the weird starhead guy. I don't know. That just really threw me off every time I read it. But regardless of that, it's interesting how this dude is somehow speaking to the entire crowd with no microphone, and everyone's listening to him, and bada bing, bada boom. I don't know. Like, this whole, like, weird thing where Uraraka couldn't push it, even though she had a megaphone and was speaking to an entire crowd of people through the rain. But this one random dude with no microphone who's talking about some weird allegory for heroes and civilians and being an audience and being a spectator and stuff like that. The fact that it's the thing that pushes everyone to accept Midoriya, ew, I don't know. I don't like it. I wish it was Uraraka. And to be fair, Don't get mad at me. I do completely understand why it was a civilian that had to push the final push and nudge for the people to finally give trust to Midoriya and stuff like that and allow him to stay here, because it's the civilians who are causing problems in the first place. If the civilians weren't here right now, then there wouldn't even be a problem. But at the same time, maybe give it to like Midoriya's mom, or give it to someone else. I don't know. Another non-hero, mainly Midoriya's mom. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm trying to run through characters who would be here right now, and Kota and this lady were already used, and Midoriya's mom is just right there, or any of the kids' moms, or dads, or fine, whatever. Someone we know. I don't know. This random dude taking it over just felt like inorganic. Despite me completely understanding the reference back to the first chapter and completely understanding why it had to be a civilian that pushed them, I just don't like that it takes the flame away from Uraraka and sort of puts like the final flip and final savior for Midoriya to be this random dude that he probably doesn't even remember at this point. I like it, but I don't like it. Y'all feel me about that? Tell me what you guys think about that in the comment section. I really want to know that. Do you guys also think it should have been Uraraka, or maybe like Midoriya's mom, or someone that we know to be the last humanizing push to like allow the civilians to allow Midoriya to stay here? Or are you fine with this random dude who isn't necessarily fully random because we know him from the first chapter, but at the same time we don't even know his name? He's just random star-headed dude. And the thing is, we see, regardless of my problems with that, we get to see that Midoriya promises that he is no longer alone and he will take back everything. And I do think that is a beautiful panel right there. I love it. That's why it was a thumbnail. But regardless of that, I feel like the wording there is a bit weird, and I hope in the official translation it is "we will take back everything," because I feel like it's kind of wrong for Midoriya, who just went through this whole little mini arc about like accepting the other people into his life and like having them help him out, for him to say "I will take back everything," because that sort of places all the weight back on him. But that flips back into Midoriya being the flat character he is and not changing, and I'm pretty sure Horikoshi wants to keep to that mantle, so maybe that's why he worded it that way. But I feel like it's very weird for him to acknowledge that he's no longer alone and that suddenly he's going to take it back all himself. I will take back everything. I don't know, was like, there are some things in this chapter that like rocked me. Like, obviously the opening with Kota rocked me. The whole like relation between the realistic society and the world at large rocked me. But then there's this weird stuff like the guy taking over, and then there's this weird thing like Midoriya wording it that he himself will take back everything. Not he and his friends, not we as a people, just him himself. Like, he's the only one who's going to be fighting again. And to be fair, he is going to be the only one fighting all for one, but I don't know. It's just that it's the little things of wording and stuff like that, and little character choices that Horikoshi makes that always like throw me off and like catch me off guard. But that's just me. Once again, tell me what you guys think about that. Do you think it's fine for Midoriya to say "I will take back everything," or do you think it would have been better worded if he said "we will take back everything"? And I'm pretty sure it is going to be a "we" regardless, but still, just threw me off. I don't know. It felt weird. But then we get to see that the boy Endeavor is still there in his trench coat. And I always forget how tall Endeavor is until he's standing next to other characters, bro. Like, looking at him towering over Hawks and Todoroki is hilarious. However, we get to see Ectoplasm is like talking about Aravity's speech, and it's like, it's all right. I'm not gonna lie, but that wasn't Aravity's speech anymore at the end. That Aravity's speech obviously failed to convince them, and they needed another push, which was the random dude. And like, why couldn't it just be Aravity's speech that saved them? That's why at the end of last chapter review, I think literally in the intro, I had said, I'm not sure if this counts as a victory yet. And it didn't. It needed this extra push from this random dude. And like I said, that's fine. But it bothers me because I don't think that counts. But I'm still going to chalk it up, because as a person who's desperate to like Uraraka, like legitimately fiending at the mouth, is feeding at the mouth a thing, or is it foaming at the mouth? One of those English phrases. As a person who's foaming at the mouth to try and like Uraraka, and as a person who wants her to get more victories on her side, I will give this to her just because, fine. But it'll always be saved in my mind, like the backwards catalog, especially whenever I go to reread this arc in totality, when I go to review it at the end. It's always going to be like, yeah, Uraraka, you pushed them, but you weren't the final push. You weren't the one who flipped it over. It was this random starfish headed dude. But fine, it's whatever. Then we get to see that everyone is finally here. It's Hawks, Todoroki, and Endeavor, and they're all seeing what they did wrong, and they're all ready to go onwards. And the thing is, we get to see that Endeavor feels like they didn't make any progress because they pushed everything onto Midoriya again, and Midoriya is obviously taking everything onto himself again when he says, I will save everything, I will put it back to the way it was, I will take back everything. But then we get to see Hawks is like, no, don't worry, we took a step. And he describes One for All as a crystallization of people's hearts joining together as one. And All Might is connected to Midoriya, Midoriya is connected to his classmates, Gravity connected Midoriya to everyone else. But she didn't though. She connected Kota and the lady who Midoriya saved to Midoriya, but it was the starfish dude who connected Midoriya to everyone else. He was the transitionary line, which I don't think works well. Like, it couldn't have been Midoriya's mom. Would that have been biased? Could have been Bakugo's mom? Am I wrong? I'm probably putting way too much emphasis on this. I know y'all in the comment section like, Pencil, calm down. You are just whack, bro. And I get that. But regardless of that, we get to see that everyone can think like each other just a little bit. There will be a bright future for heroes to be able to laugh and stuff like that. And we have this beautiful spread of like all these people running up to Midoriya. Yo, is it me? Or is it weird that Midoriya's mom, is it weird that Inko just gets like these tiny little panels? Like, she never gets anything like big and grandstanding. And I guess like maybe that's not fit for her character or something like that. But at the same time, it's like, come on now. This should be a very important moment for it to just be this tiny part of a spread that doesn't get any words, anything acknowledged to it. Like, literally takes up maybe a 1/10 of the page. Like, I feel bad, but at the same time, I feel like this should get more emphasis. Like, all this extra stuff honestly is needed in my mind, but fine. It's a beautiful spread regardless. And we get to see that we have to get reminded of the B plot, which is Dabi. And like I said before, I love Endeavor. I'm indifferent to Todoroki, but I still love Endeavor. So Dabi being important makes sense, but at the same time, I don't know. Dabi was like, he wasn't enough for me at this point. Like, they need to put some more intrigue into that man, because after learning his backstory, I don't feel bad. He just seems like a menace for like little reason, not no reason. He still has reason to be a menace, but to the degree of a menace that he has little reason to be that much. So hopefully, Horikoshi, you can provide more justification for that weird Scarface man. And but regardless of that, we do get to see that Aizawa has been informed by Nezu that his class pulled it off. And they pulled off bringing Midoriya back, but they did not pull off reconnecting Midoriya to the people. But I'm never going to let that go. No, I'm kidding. I probably will let that go. I'll probably forget by next week. Don't worry. But regardless of that, we get to see that Aizawa is like, is he eye patched up? I think he's eye patched up. Yeah, he's eye patched up. He tells Nezu to tell the class rep that he did well in bringing Midoriya back, and so on. Started the domino effect for the civilian to bring all the civilians back together. And then we get to see that Aizawa does in fact have a new leg, and it is built ugly. But I'm sorry, I know I shouldn't say that, but like Jolly G Willikers, bro, that leg looks busted. It looks jacked up. I'm not gonna lie. Then we get to see that not only does he have a new leg, but Kurogiri, Shirakumo, like, tangent. Once again, I know I go on so many tangents in these reviews, but I have to. Yeah, like, I can't just sit here and tell you what happens in the chapter. I got to tell you what goes on in my mind when I read the chapter. Shirakumo doesn't work. Kurogiri doesn't work. This whole like backstory for Aizawa with his super secret friend that we apparently never got to know about until like whenever that was revealed, it just doesn't work for me. Like, is this a thing for anyone else? I've seen other people not like it too. I think even Oceanus doesn't like it, which no, let me not put any words in his mouth. Maybe he does like it. I think he just doesn't like how it's executed. And that's the same thing for me. I feel like if it was executed better, if we knew more about Shirakumo, then this would hit a lot harder. But for me, it just doesn't do much for me. And like, the thing is, I know I've been told if I read Vigilantes first, then I would feel more impacted by this. And while that is entirely possible, I feel like mandating other reading to make your main story better isn't the best thing to do when you're telling an independent narrative, especially since the two narratives of Vigilantes and My Hero Academia itself are like loosely connected in terms of like the main plots, but they're actually deeply, I don't know, I haven't read Vigilantes in a long time. I need to catch up. But regardless of that, I feel like having the build up for this main story thing for one of our, maybe not main characters, but our main supporting side characters, I feel like having it be like something left in a side story that's suddenly supposed to affect the main story isn't the best thing to do. And I'm not the biggest fan of that, if I'm being completely honest with y'all. But it's neither here nor there. It's something that's happened, and I can't complain about something that's already happened. It be like that when it be like that sometimes, unfortunately. But regardless of that, we get to see that Kurogiri has been transported to a place that is like a research facility after responding to him after responding to Aizawa and President Mike. But then we get to see that this path is still there, because while his quirk is been destroyed, like the copied quirk was destroyed by Maruka, he himself, like Shirokuma, may still be in there, like underneath the shadowy man, and you may be able to restore him, and that's good. But then we get to see that Aizawa says something that, I don't know, it seems a little bit out of character, but I guess how Aizawa is pretty salty right now. He's like, it's time for revenge. But then we get this weird, I don't know. I'm assuming this is Nezu still speaking. And y'all remember how I was like, I low-key thought Nezu was the imposter. I'm not going to lie, like 2 chapter reviews ago, because of how shady he was speaking. But then it's just the way he responds. Like, maybe I'm overanalyzing word choice too much, and like the use of like grammar punctuations and stuff like that. But I can't help it. I'm a YouTube analyst. No, I'm not. I'm not a YouTube analyst, but I am a YouTube reviewer. I look into things way too deeply and get way too excited for it. But then we get this weird reaction, like, yeah, ... of course. When Aizawa says it's time for revenge. That doesn't seem like an enthusiastic reaction. That seems like someone who doesn't necessarily want revenge would say, and maybe someone who's aligned with the villains who wouldn't want the heroes to succeed would say. Maybe a traitor, maybe something like that. Maybe I'm tripping. But regardless, we get to see something interesting. We get to see All Might. But the thing that really made me sussy of this whole, I can't say that word without breaking out the laughter. But the thing that made me like wary of this final panel of All Might is, and the countermeasures against Toga are still up and running. Yes. We've calculated how much blood she can absorb and how long her transformation lasts. We only let in evacuees after a certain amount of time has passed. And then the chapter ends with this image of All Might. Now, Horikoshi, let me level with you real quick. I know you don't watch these videos, but regardless, I'm going to assume you do. If you off-screened All Might after keeping Gran Torino alive for 15 extra years than this man should be alive for, and I know I'm exaggerating, blah, blah, blah. Bro, I'm going to lose my mind. But if that's Toga, this All Might, which for some reason I feel is, I'm going to, like, I can't find the words right now. And for a person who has a lot of words, I'm shocked I can't find them. But if that's Toga, which it definitely gives me the vibe of, because this All Might doesn't seem happy. This All Might doesn't seem to have anything. This All Might doesn't even have pupils or eyes. He just has sunken in holes, which we've seen him have before. But the interesting thing is how they specifically note that this All Might, or no, they don't specifically note that Toga countermeasures are like put in place, and that there's a limited amount of blood and blah blah blah, how long she can stay transformed. But questions that we need to now ask: do they know about Toga's quirk evolution? I'd assume not. I feel like they barely even know about Shigaraki's quirk evolution, how much of a menace that dude is right now. Like, I still believe 100% Shigaraki, despite not being mentioned in this chapter, could really just pull up right now and just murder everybody. No problem at all. But regardless of that, it's interesting to wonder if they know about Toga's evolution, and if so, would they know about its new limits? Because while I don't like Toga's quirk evolution, I think it's weird. I think quirk evolution as a concept is pretty weird. That's like your muscle suddenly developing new muscles. Quirks are weird. I will talk about quirks in another video in depth, and why I like the system and why I have many problems with the system as a system. But regardless of that, I wonder if like these countermeasures are based on what are these countermeasures based on? Like, how did you calculate that? How did you estimate that? And what would happen if Toga had a full body to just keep draining blood from? Like she would if she, I don't know, like murdered All Might. It'd be like that when it'd be like that sometimes. I wonder what could be happening. And also, is Stain just forgotten about? Is Stain no longer a thing? Like, were all those hints just to like jabate us? Like, I know Stain is definitely still out there in the world, but I don't know, man hasn't been mentioned, man hasn't been shown, man. We haven't gotten a whiff of our Stainy boy in a minute, and that's kind of whack. But yeah, I do like, if this isn't Toga, great. It's just All Might being sad, wonderful, because he's guilty about, like, setting up this bad hero society where everyone relied on him and he didn't leave any like countermeasures or safety net for anything once he was gone, all that's perfectly fine. However, if this is Toga and my boy All Might got all off-screened, it was going to be a little bit depressed. But other than that, I think this chapter is very, very good. However, there are some little things that I will like that will lower this chapter. But see, like I have to, on the surface level, I must give it the customary 11 out of 10 because it evoked an a physical emotional reaction from me that wasn't laughter. It got me to shed a tear. Seeing Kota's crying face, bro, like that did get me. That got me. I was lacking. However, there are things in this chapter that I don't like. There's like the whole thing with Aizawa and the lack of real connection there with Shirakumo and how that's still supposedly an important thing that we just don't know anything about if you've just read the main story of My Hero Academia. Then there's the whole civilian taking over and being the one who actually convinces the civilians to let Midoriya stay there instead of Uraraka's speech doing that. And I don't think that's good for Uraraka, but I'm going into a whole, I'm already scripting a video about like the importance of victory and how that doesn't always mean fights and how it makes characters like Uraraka characters I can't really enjoy that much because of a lack of victory, and how I feel like that victory was stolen away from Uraraka this chapter because Horikoshi decided to give it to some random dude from chapter 1 who doesn't even have a name. That annoys me. I also find Midoriya's wording that's a little bit weird. That's probably like a 1/10 of a point though. I think just the whole like it's weird how he specifically notes when he's no longer alone, but I alone will take back everything. I don't know. The I will take back everything, not we will take back everything, just throws me. That makes it weird. The fact that Midoriya's mom doesn't get any like real significant panel moment with Midoriya. Like she's just a part of a spread. She wasn't the one to convince the civilians to let her baby back in. Like there's so many weird things in this chapter that just drags it down. I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. But if I'm being, that's just me being nice. If I'm being honest, this chapter is like, for what it does and what I don't like about it, it's like an 8, if not a 7.5. So let's do a happy medium and make it a 9. Because it gets the bonus points for evoking an emotional reaction. If I remove the bonus points for the emotional reaction, it gets an 8. But I'm going to stop right there. I've been talking too much. Please tell me what you guys think in the comment section down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is That Guy with the Pencil, writing off.